Jamie is helping his teacher organize art supplies into buckets. Each bucket needs 6 paintbrushes. They have 77 paintbrushes. How many buckets can they fill? This is a problem we're going to solve using division. For this problem, we are thinking about a massive amount of paintbrushes. They need to be organized. The story problem tells us that each bucket is going to be getting 6 paintbrushes. So we're trying to figure out how many buckets can be filled using 77 paintbrushes. In division problems, we are quite often pulling out groups of something. And in this story problem, we are pulling out groups of 6 paintbrushes. So let's think about an equation to solve. We have 77 paintbrushes. We will be dividing them into groups of 6. And when we do that, we're going to be getting a number of something, right? When we get that number, what does it represent? Well, it tells us how many buckets we can fill. So 77 divided by 6 will equal B, when B is the number of buckets they can fill. Numbers in a division problem, like 77, 6, and then of course our answer, have names. So 77, that massive number of paintbrushes, is our dividend. That is the number of things we're splitting up. 6 is our divisor. The divisor is the number that we are pulling out groups of. And then our answer in a division problem is called a quotient. And for this particular problem, the quotient is going to be the number of buckets Jamie and his teacher can fill. So let's take a look at how we might record this. The numbers are pretty small, so we certainly could grab 77 paintbrushes and figure this out. But for the sake of learning an organized recording technique, I'm going to demonstrate that for you now, and then when you have larger numbers and you really need a good way to record, you'll be an expert at this. So this is what our division symbol is going to look like. We're going to put our dividend of 77 paintbrushes here, and our divisor, right here. And again, we're pulling out groups of 6. So I want you to think about the groups of 6 that are easy for you to think of in your head. What I love about this way of dividing is we are only going to rely on the fact families that work well for us. So we're pulling out of 77, and that means we have to do some subtracting. So I want to choose groups of 6 that are easy for me to subtract. And what I mean by that is I know my 3 table really well. So I know that 3 groups of 6 is 18, but I do not want to pull 18 paintbrushes out of 77 because the subtraction might get messy. So let's think about things that make sense. I know my 2 table very well. 2 groups of 6 is 12 paintbrushes. I always know my 5s and my 10s. So 5 groups of 6 is 30 paintbrushes. That's great for subtracting because it ends in a 0. So actually I'm going to start right there before I even think about anything else. 5 groups of 6 is 30 paintbrushes. So I'm going to pull those 30 paintbrushes right out of this 77. And I still have 47 paintbrushes remaining in that giant pile. So we're going to pull out some more groups of 6. Again, there's no wrong way to pull them out. You want to use facts that make sense to you. The multiplication facts you know well are your best friend right now. Okay, so I don't want to subtract 3 groups of 6. Again, that one's 18 and there's a 7 here, so I don't want to do that. I could still pull out 5 groups of 6 because that's 30 and I have more than 30 paintbrushes left. So I'm going to do that. 5 groups of 6, again, is 30. I still have 17 paintbrushes left. I guess I have to be a little more careful with what I choose this time because this number is low. 3 groups of 6 or 18 doesn't even work here because I don't have that many paintbrushes. So I'm going to go with 2. 2 groups of 6 is 12. Pull that right out. I still have some paintbrushes left. 5, but that's not enough to make another bucket. So how many buckets did we fill? Well, that answer is right here. We filled 12 buckets, 5 plus 5 plus 2 is 12 buckets, and we still have 5 paintbrushes left, so we have to remember that when we answer our question. So our question asks, how many buckets can they fill? They can fill 12 buckets with the six paintbrushes in each bucket, but we can't forget about those 5 paintbrushes. So in an art classroom, what would we do with those? I'm not going to throw them away. That's crazy. So maybe we could keep them around in case someone needs a replacement or we get a new student or something. They can fill 12 buckets with 6 paintbrushes in each. There will be 5 more paintbrushes available in case some need to be replaced or get lost.